Now, the US Secretary of State has condemned the decision by 5 Western countries, including Britain, to sanction 2 far-right Israeli ministers. Marco Rubio called for the sanctions to be cancelled, saying they didn't advance US-led efforts to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza, bring all hostages home or end the war. The ministers, Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, face an immediate asset freeze and travel ban over accusations of inciting extremist settler violence and serious abuses of Palestinian rights in the occupied West Bank. James Landale reports.
2 ministers on whom Israel's coalition government depends, both hardliners, both on the nationalist far right, both now officially sanctioned by Britain, Australia, Canada, New Zealand and Norway. They accuse the 2 men of repeatedly inciting acts of aggression and violence against civilians in the occupied West Bank, encouraging the growth of illegal settlements, abusing the human rights of Palestinians. And for that, they're now subject to travel and asset bans.
Today we are announcing sanctions against those individuals because we have been absolutely clear. This has to stop. And we stand for a 2-state solution. And the settler violence that we've seen in the West Bank particularly is entirely unacceptable and must stop.
Mr. Speaker, 2024 saw the worst settler violence against Palestinians in the West Bank.
In part, the government's responding to political pressure. Echoed in Parliament this evening, MPs urging ministers to go further and formally recognise a state of Palestine. In Israel, there was fury.
It is outrageous that elected representatives and members of the government are subjected to this kind of measures. We will hold a special government meeting early next week to decide on our response to this unacceptable decision.
Today in Gaza, there were yet more funerals after yet more airstrikes near Khan Yunis. There were also reports of more Palestinians shot dead near a US-backed aid distribution centre. For its part, the US stood by Israel, saying the sanctions were extremely unhelpful.
It's a huge shock, and I have a feeling the United States will respond appropriately. And I'm hoping that it will be a strong condemnation of this action on the part of these nations that really we would like to think are our allies.
Those allies hope their sanctions may change Israel's behaviour in the West Bank, where today in Nablus there was another army raid. But without US support, they may be waiting some time. James Landale, BBC News.
Our correspondent Hugo Bashega has more on the reaction to those sanctions from the Israeli government.
We had this reaction from the foreign minister, who said this decision was outrageous and that the government would be holding a meeting next week to discuss a possible reaction. Now, the 2 ministers targeted, Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is the national security minister, and the finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, essentially dismissed the sanctions. They said that this decision wouldn't have any kind of impact on their policies. So this is obviously very significant. It shows that patience with Israel is running out in some Western countries. I think it also reflects public opinion. We've seen that a lot of people have expressed their opposition to some actions of this Israeli government in the occupied West Bank and also in Gaza. This decision is about what is happening in the West Bank. And it is also very symbolic, I think, because for a very long time, critics have been saying that Western countries are complicit with the actions of the Israeli authorities, the Israeli military in the occupied West Bank, in particular when it comes to the expansion of settlements in the West Bank, which is a key obstacle in the creation of a viable, independent Palestinian state, which continues to be the main goal of the international community to try to come up with a solution to this conflict.